Vietnam today, the things that struck us the most about it were, number one, they love Americans. Well, we're their favorite people nowadays, in part because their hereditary enemy is China. Always has been, probably always will be. And who's the counterweight to China? It's us. So oddly enough, the 8 years of the American war, we're pretty much outliers in our relationship with Vietnam. They see us as their potential ally, and kind of always have. Don't forget, before we got involved in a war there, we were allied with Ho Chi Minh at the end of the Second World War. So they love Americans, which most Americans who think of Vietnam as a war and not a country kind of don't get. Vietnam is still a dictatorship. It's a one-party rule that serves to protect tourists. It's not a very violent place for tourists because tourists have money and they like to protect people who are spending money. So most tourists aren't going to notice that it's a pretty dictatorial one-party system. It's still this system that is very foreign to Americans, a system that they'll only notice if they get into trouble. But the most interesting thing of it is, even though it's a dictatorial system and the communist regime is still in place, it's not communist anymore. Communist in the economic sense. These guys are proto-capitalists now. There's a Kentucky Fried Chicken on every corner. There's increasing numbers of McDonald's. If you go out in the street, you're assaulted by small business people trying to sell you everything from t-shirts to cell phones to you name it. One of the veterans I brought back with me was shocked by that, because we like to take veterans back to Vietnam when we take our students. And he turned to me and said, "Wow, we won the war, because this place is about as communist as Gulfport," which is a small town in Mississippi where there's a lot of business going on. So he was very surprised to see that our culture, our way of doing things, won. Our military didn't, but our culture did.